This is Planet 76, your source for all things Philadelphia 76ers. We've got another great episode coming your way today, and we're cleared for takeoff. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to Planet 76 podcast. I am your co-host, Michael from Trust and Love. As always, Troy with me as well. Episode 38. I like to say it a lot, but we are rolling through episodes. We're almost at 50. I mean, not really, but kind of.
We're getting there.
So Planet 76. Make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, because we are pretty much everywhere. So make sure you guys search us out. If we're not on your platform, we probably are. So just keep looking. Again, it's weekly podcast. Here we are, 38th. Well, more like the, I'd say 36th week, because we've done sometimes 2 episodes in a week, but not like occasionally, not all the time. But I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Anyway,
No.
Troy, welcome to the podcast. What's
going on?
What do you got? Let's hear some things.
Let's hear some things. I think we must start with our Eastern Conference Player of the Month.
Woo!
Announced yesterday. We're recording here on Thursday the 3rd. Announced yesterday. Joel Embiid, Eastern Conference Player of the Month for the month of January. Back-to-back for Mr. Embiid.
Yep.
We talk about Joel a lot on this pod.
Mm-hmm.
Sixers fans talk about a lot of Joel around the water cooler at work. Like, he's the talk of everything.
Talk of the
for
town,
Sixers.
literally.
Talk of the town. The Eagles suck. And he's kind of a big deal. I don't know what else you want to say about Joel, but shout out to him for 2 months in a row.
Yeah, and I think it's really a testament to how well he's playing, because even though the Eastern Conference hasn't been as high performing as it could be, with KD out, Kyrie, whatever, Harden, inconsistency. Aside from Embiid, the real Eastern Conference, I guess you could say Kings, Giannis, that's it.
Right.
I mean, and then after that, it's a large drop-off. You know, these two guys, top of the top when you're talking about the Eastern Conference. So if it wasn't Embiid, it was going to be Giannis. But again, Embiid's been putting on a show the past 2 months, and I think it's really been a testament to how he's bounced back from the slow start to the season. Whatever you want to attribute that to, obviously with COVID, with load management, injuries, things of that nature. I think it's a testament to how well he's been able to recover from that and bounce back. And yeah, I mean, it's nonetheless extremely impressive.
No doubt. Back to back. And it's not only a testament to Joel, like you mentioned, after a slow start, but even from a team standpoint, you can almost look at this like a team award, in the sense that the Sixers have been playing very, very well in December and in January. And so when Embiid plays well, when he's doing what he's doing, when he's winning Player of the Month, then it's got the Sixers where they are in the Eastern Conference standings, just a game and a half back. And so
that's a great
it's
point.
A testament to what the boys are doing, and it's really, really a good feeling to see what the Sixers have been doing as of late. So this episode, specifically, we're going to be looking at just where the Sixers are at right now, some standings updates, injury updates, that kind of fun stuff. We'll recap a couple games from this past week, including a thrilling game with the Memphis Grizzlies and then a not-so-thrilling game with the Washington Wizards.
I thought you were going to say thrilling to describe the Wizards game, and I was like, well, I don't know about that.
Not exactly. And then, of course, we're going to talk about number 25 and just the latest there. The trade deadline is 1 week away. Today's February 3rd. The deadline is on the 10th. So, of course, there are reports that are ramping up. What we make of those, we're going to get into. Do we see anything potentially happening? We're going to get into that. So stay tuned for that. Stick around for that. And then at the end, we will going to do a little segment, kind of a spin-off of what's that one we do? I don't even know. But this one's called Fact or Cap.
Sweet.
What's that other one?
Buying
or selling.
Yeah.
So this one's very similar. Very similar. Got like just 2 or 3 for that. And then we're going to preview the Dallas Mavericks. So the Sixers are heading to Dallas Friday night ESPN game, 10 o'clock tomorrow night. So we'll give you a preview of that one. Michael, where do you want to start? I'm gonna give you the reins, actually. Where of all of those topics featured right there, where do we go?
I say we start top down. Sixers currently 31-20, tied for third in the East, 1.5 games back of the first seed. They actually were the second seed for a hot minute, but then last night's loss to the Wizards. Another. I didn't even really. I mean, I guess I kind of knew, but not really. Another 5-game winning streak for the Sixers. They've had multiple and 5+ game winning streaks this season as well. I think this is their second or third 5-game winning streak. If not 5, then 4 at the very least. So again, really consistent last few months for not only Joel Embiid, as we talk about him for the Player of the Month, but for the Sixers as well. I mean, Harris has been stepping up. Maxey's obviously been great. And, I mean, team just really good. Again, still really kind of banged up because Curry didn't play. Milton still isn't back yet. Thibault just came back. Green's been in and out. I mean, I think it's been really impressive what the Sixers have been able to do despite not really still having a cohesive roster to run with, whereas a lot of teams in the NBA have had that, and a lot also haven't. Sixers one of them, but it's really impressive when a team can make up for what they lack, what they temporarily lack in the win column and also in the standings. Again, 31-20, which is awesome.
Yeah, they have been. I'm trying. As you were saying that, I'm trying to think of like a 4-game stretch or 5-game stretch where the Sixers have had everybody, and I can't remember that. You know what I mean? The latest. I mean, it seems like. I mean, even when we've been relatively healthy, Seth misses a game, Joel sits out a game, things like that, and then we still don't have Shake. Mm-hmm. He's been in and out of the lineup, I guess, kind of all year.
Yeah, I don't even know. Has he played? I'm not even sure he's played.
So he's been out for a while with a back injury.
Yeah.
I looked at a report, I think from just a couple of days ago, that said he's easing his way back onto the court. Has not played like 5-on-5 yet or anything in the scrimmage, but kind of just waiting it out to see when he can get back to shape, and that's gonna be important because I mean he's an important piece of this team and he's been missed, even though we've been winning. I mean if we can get Shake back to like the best Shake form that we've ever seen, as Sixers fans, then that's going to be a very big deal for this team. So 31-20, game and a half back of first, and it also seems like every single week on this pod we are climbing. It's a good thing. We've gone from Sixers are 6 back, Sixers are 5 back, Sixers are 3 back, Sixers are 2 back, Sixers are now 1.5 back, and so better to trend that way than the other way. So it's a good sign. But yeah, working our way down that list. We'll start with the bad news first, and then we'll get to the good news. Bad news is the Washington Wizards. The good news for me though is I did not watch that game.
Yeah, neither did I.
Wednesday nights are always going to be a no-go for me. I watched like the 10-minute YouTube clip of it, where they kind of give you a game summary. Saw there was some issues late, like Sixers are down 2. They have a fast break opportunity kind of thing. Maxey was up ahead. Tobias Harris didn't give it to him. I don't know if you saw that, but
I don't think I saw that. No, I kind of just tried to wipe that game from my memory. When there's a loss like that, I'm just like, this loss is so insignificant to me as a fan. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Literally, I think it's kind of cliche at this point, but literally on to the next one. It's over.
Yeah. So what I saw was like, I just saw a screenshot on Twitter of 10 seconds, 12 seconds. Tobias Harris gets the ball near the opposing, or near our basket. Yeah, ish. Or approaching half court, let's say that. And then Tyrese Maxey's up ahead, kind of by himself, and he didn't get the ball. I don't know what Tobias did with it. But then it ended up, I don't even know if it was that same play or after a timeout. Joel gets the ball, kind of drives toward the basket. There was some contact. Kuzma either got it or Joel lost it up off the backboard, and the
I think Kuzma
blocked foul after
Embiid.
that. Right, and then that was that. And
yeah.
Tyrese actually got asked about that post game, about the fact that like Baby Harris didn't see him, kind of thing, and he handled it well. He said, we got our best player going to the basket down by 2, and got a good look. Just weren't able to tie the game there. So certainly, as you said, one to be forgotten, kind of a fluke. Sixers drop one at home against the Wizards. All good things come to an end, including a 5-game streak. But let's get to the good news. So. I'm going to let you go with this one. I'm going to ask you very simply. Memphis Grizzlies, Sixers win in overtime 122-119. How awesome was that game?
Unfortunately, that was another game where I couldn't watch, but thankfully, the basketball gods were on my side. I did catch overtime. So that was really nice. And even though, again, pretty chippy game for the most part, I saw and I was listening a bit on the radio on my way home, and things were chippy, obviously, because that's how the Grizzlies play. Young team, they're fast, they play tough, and the Sixers, sometimes they shy away from that, sometimes they don't. But luckily for our enjoyment, they kind of leaned into that and gave the Grizzlies a nice run. And from what I saw and from what I watched of overtime, it was a great game. And again, Maxey had a fantastic game. I see this, have here his blocks. I mean, he's literally 6 feet tall, and he had 4 blocks. Like for a 6-foot player, for a center, that's really good. Who is 7 feet tall, 6'10".
Yeah.
For a 6 foot tall player, that's fantastic. And yet Harris had a great game as well. I believe that was probably his season high, if not close to it, right? Mm-hmm. 31, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Drummond, oh man, Drummond was crazy. 16 points, 23 rebounds. I think he had 6 assists and like 4 blocks as well.
Wow.
I mean, who would have thought Drummond was going to do this? Veterans minimum in August. I literally was like, I remember I was getting my car because I forget what was wrong with it. I was getting my car. And I saw the tweet. We were on the way to get my car, and I saw a tweet. I was like, Andre Drummond
what?
to the Sixers,
right?
And I was like, what am I missing? But I mean, here we are 7 months later, and he's probably the best backup center in the league. Not even an understatement. I mean, he's great. He's great.
Not at all.
And as you have here as well, John Morant, 37, Desmond Bane, 34. He's really good. Desmond Bane is really good.
Desmond Bane is very good and very big.
Good. Game of the
I watched a lot of him
far.
play actually at TCU.
Oh yeah, did he? It's funny because I think the Sixers were. Obviously that was the Maxey draft, so it's not like we're going to draft him over Maxey, but the Sixers were a few picks away from where he was drafted, I believe, right?
Okay, yeah, probably late first round, yeah. So, yeah, he had a great game. Mm-hmm. It was a phenomenal basketball game. I think it was my favorite game of the year to watch. Kind of start to finish. It was just a lot of fun, closely contested. The end of the fourth was amazing. The end of overtime, that play I watched that play, not even kidding, probably 60 times. No joke. Kate Scott, shout out to Kate Scott. She had a great call. It was just so cool. And Matisse's awareness, even at the end of that play,
crazy.
Just he's near the baseline, gets the ball, and he knows the shot clock.
He's the reason they won that game. Literally, just finds Maxey on the break.
Right.
I don't know if it was on purpose or what.
No, just throws it to the other end of the court.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't,
you're right.
It's like game over because he just had the awareness. And how many times do you see someone almost go out of bounds and then they just end up going out of bounds? And guess what? Memphis ball. With the chance to win it. I mean, he made that happen and made a smart play to no one's surprise. That's what he does on defense. Mm-hmm. But to your point, too, about Andre Drummond, I remember back in the day in the offseason when we were kind of previewing the Sixers season, we talked about a lot, like the impact that Andre Drummond has when it matters for us is going to be the games when Joel doesn't play.
Yep.
And look what he does, So we look good coming after that. But 16 and 23, again, in a 3-point game in overtime, I don't think the Sixers win that game if they don't have someone like Andre Drummond to play basketball when Joel Embiid's out. 16 points and 23 rebounds from a backup center is remarkable. I mean, so it just feels good to win that game against a very good Memphis Grizzlies team, young team, fun team. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Best game of the year so far, in my opinion. You want to introduce our next topic? Let's go there.
Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal. Yesterday, the Sixers were apparently reported having interest, out my eye, in Bradley Beal. And he's a player that's, believe it or not, been connected to the Sixers for over a year now, as a lot of players have been. You know, when you have an 8-month saga going on, there will be a lot of players connected to your team. Anyway, they're not willing to include Maxey or Thibault, which is understandable at the very least. And then we have you have some questions here. Do you want Beal? The Sixers ceiling with Beal this year. and the Shaq Simmons crybaby
so
comments.
let's go there.
Yeah, let's get right in.
I want Bradley Beal. I'm going to be completely honest with you, and no spoilers because we're going to get to a little more down on that outline you see there. But
okay.
I just love it. I want Bradley Beal, dude. I've always liked him as a player, and I want him. And obviously a lot of this, correct me if I'm wrong, is due to the fact that the Wizards have kind of fallen off. They started the year hot, and so trade talks kind of simmered down, and now they have fallen off a bit, back to reality, and they've got a guy like Bradley Beal, who, and the reports around him specifically in his camp is that he's not as against a trade as he has been. So that's kind of the talk there. Now, do I see something happening between now and February 10th? Like, I don't think. I don't know, but I don't know. What's your thought there? Like, Bradley Beal, not necessarily on who we give up, that kind of thing, but Bradley Beal, something happening, like, soon.
Yeah, so the simple answer to do I want Beal is yes, and I can get into that a little more if you'd like. But to answer your question, to be honest with you, I don't either because, number one, even though he said him and Dame have this like kind of seesaw, like maybe I'll leave, maybe
At least
I won't.
What comes out of their
kind
camps,
of thing
they
going
do.
on. Right. And apparently, according to Bradley Beal, again, same yesterday, or maybe it was Wednesday. Either way, yesterday was Wednesday. Whatever. Beal said he basically said the same thing that Dame has and Harden has mixed into one. Like, he's not necessarily opposed to a trade. He hasn't denied the idea of a trade. Basically, is what I'm saying. And it's funny because about a week ago he was on Andrew Wojnarowski's podcast, which is a great listen as well. Shout out Woj. And he was on the podcast, and he was asking him questions. Like, the one question that's relevant, he asked him, what are your thoughts on a trade? What, are you? Do you want to be in? Do you want to be in Washington? What do you think about that? Basically, and Beal's response was more or less like, let's see how the season goes. My contract is up after this season, so it's a contract year for me. The GM, Tommy Shepard for the Wizards, has done a lot to keep me here. He wants to build around me. He calls me like, hey Brad, what do you want to do? It's your team. Let's make it happen, kind of thing. And this isn't word for word. I encourage people to actually go listen to what Bradley Beal said. Because it's on record of him saying these things, but I'm just kind of paraphrasing. So it kind of aligns with what happened yesterday or whatever it was the other day. Like, he isn't necessarily committed to staying with Washington if things go south, because ultimately he wants to win. And quite honestly, the Wizards haven't done much of that since before John Wall got injured, and that was like 3-4 years ago, unfortunately for John Wall, because he was phenomenal, when he was healthy. But the Wizards haven't done much winning since then, and I think Beal wants some of that because he's never really been a winning player, and to his own fault, I would say maybe not, but also more so to the teams that he's been on. Like, the teams that he's been on have been very poorly constructed, aside from last season when they made the playoffs and got Jeremy
right, as
Cook.
an 8 seed. That's kind of been his.
Yeah, so
I don't know what the furthest round they've made it to, him and John Wall together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the conference finals, is it? Unless I'm forgetting something.
No, I think they made the semis. I think it was the year the Celtics made the conference finals. Or if they did make the conference, you know what?
There ain't no way. But I feel like, they made it to the second round. And I don't know. But Bradley Beal, I want Bradley Beal. I don't know about you, but I think the Sixers' ceiling, if Bradley Beal is on this team this season, hypothetically speaking, let's say the Sixers don't give up Tyrese Maxey, the Sixers don't give up Matisse Thybulle, and they somehow get Bradley Beal without giving up those guys, their ceiling this year,
imagine?
I think they're a legit contender. I think Bradley Beal's that good. With the way that Joel Embiid is playing, and again, not knowing all of the details of a potential trade, but I think Bradley Beal makes us legit. That's just me, or maybe that's my hope, but I think he makes us legit, and that's why I'm kind of like very, very interested in acquiring Bradley Beal like now. Not that I think it's going to happen. I'm being realistic, but I think we can be a contender. And then, of course, let's go here. So, what do you make of Shaquille O'Neal on TNT flaming Ben Simmons?
I think it was how you'd say. I think it was how you say in the making, because I think at some point or another, NBA players past and or present are gonna have a say on the matter, because a lot of them have attitudes that are totally opposite to Simmons. In every way, in every shape and form, opposite to Simmons, and how he operates within the game of basketball. And for a lot of players, Shaq included, they don't like players who don't like or at least love the game, because they want to share their love for the game. And when they see someone as talented as Ben Simmons and as talented as he could be, it makes them angry. Just like it makes us as fans angry, because they see this guy with half of the players who see this guy. Simmons has 10 times the talent that some of these guys have. And when they see him not using it, it probably makes them a little angry and probably makes them frustrated, because they're thinking, man, if I was 6'10", athletic freak with a jumper that I don't use, I would be a top 10 player in my era. And funny enough, for Ben Simmons, he could be the exact same thing in this era. And for them, it probably infuriates them as it does to me. So if you're Shaq, you're probably like, you know what? This dude is kind of getting on my nerves. I'm going to speak on it. And, I think Crybaby's accurate. I'm not going to, curse at the dude because it's not that deep. But I think that's accurate. I think, if anything at all, no former player, with everything that every former player has to say, no former player is just gonna brush it off and pretend like nothing's happening, because at the bottom line, they want their words to be heard as well. So they're gonna say whatever they have to, and whatever they feel like, however they feel, they're gonna say it.
Yeah, I think too that correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Shaq, in that same quote about Ben Simmons being a crybaby, he mentioned the fact that, Chuck and I used to get on Joel Embiid. and he responded well to that criticism.
Right.
Is that the same quote?
Right. To be honest with you, I didn't.
But
even
I think
see the quote.
he either said that then or he
Cap.
said that at another time. But Shaq and Chuck, they used to get on Joel Embiid, and Joel didn't quit. Joel didn't respond poorly. He responded in a great way, and now he's an MVP candidate and 2-time Player of the Month back to back. Right. Kind of as a way of saying, well, Joel took that criticism and turned it into something good, and Ben Simmons has taken the criticism that he's faced from Sixers fans, Sixers media, Sixers coaches, the NBA, all across the board, and now look at him. He's not playing, which is just, it's an amazing story that is still unfolding. It's still unfolding. It's going to be very interesting to see how he responds in a
8
new
months.
team, and if he plays. I don't even know. If he goes to the Kings, what if he's just no?
8 freaking months.
I don't know. Because he's refused to play so far this year and lost a lot of money for it. Shaq called him a crybaby, and I'm not mad about it. Let's just say that.
Not at all.
Did you find anything about the Wizards on their?
I looked through the past 3 years of the playoffs. I'm sorry, not past 3 years. I looked from 2014 to 2017. I might be missing something. I mean,
they certainly haven't had very, very deep playoff runs.
Yeah. Since then, let's say, yeah.
And I don't blame Bradley Beal for the type of player that he is, wanting to be on a good team. And I say that, of course, because the good team that he could be on is the 76ers. So, let's go into kind of stemming off of that, kind of staying with this same trade deadline kind of deal. We're going to play a little fact or cap. These are based off of tweets that I saw this week, and from the same guy, actually. So you tell me if it's fact or cap. I have no idea. I should have quoted him. But here we go. Plagiarism at its finest. Tweet is this: Embiid is awesome. The Sixers are not. Daryl Morey has the assets to change that. It's on him to make it happen. And I'm going to add 2 words to this to maybe change it for you. It's on him to make it happen this year is what I'm going to add to it. So is that fact or cap? Is that true or not true? Is it necessary this year or not this year?
This calendar year or this season?
I feel like that could change something for you.
Well, considering that considering the trade deadline's in a week, I would say cap, because I don't think anything's going to happen. And I think, if anything at all, we're going to trade for, Eric Gordon or some random play. Eric Gordon... Okay. Eric Gordon is not random.
He's not Bradley Beal.
The Sixers are going to trade for, No, not at all. The Sixers are going to trade for someone like George Hill again. And they're going to underperform heavily, even though they should have been really good for this team. And I think if anything, it's going to be that. But I don't think anything's going to happen. That's my bold prediction.
So, but with the question, or with the tweet itself, is it... No, you're good. Is it a fact that it's on Morey to get something done this year, or is it this season, or is it really not that big of a deal to you, kind of thing? If it's not a big deal, it's cap.
Well, I definitely think it's fact, because he does. He is the person that's going to make the decision, and he is the person that has these things he can do to capitalize on Embiid's awesomeness, as the tweet puts. Well, wait. The Sixers are not awesome. Yes, they are.
It's not what he says.
No. This tweet is canceled.
He's not a fan. He's not a fan. All right, let's go to the next one.
Who tweeted this?
I'll find it and send it to you.
I will find that tweet.
Okay. Second tweet. Yeah, you should say the Sixers just beat the Grizzlies without Embiid. How's that not awesome? Yeah. Tweet number 2, same guy. This one's a good one.
Exactly.
I'm really curious. This says the Sixers should obviously include Tyrese Maxey in a trade if that means that they can acquire Bradley Beal. Fact or cap?
No. That's major cap. I would replace Maxey with Thibault in that, and then I would say it's fact. But I would say no, because Like, Tyrese Maxey's amazing. Not saying he's untouchable. Not saying he's untouchable. But what I am saying is, I would not trade him for Bradley Beal. I would trade Thibault, though. And I think the value... I think Thibault's... No, never mind. I think it could go on the same token, because I think Thibault, maybe not as valuable as Maxey, but still valuable enough to the point where he would be a very acceptable trade piece for a team like the Wizards to get Bradley Beal. Because let's say Simmons, Thibault, Korkmaz. Simmons, Thibault, whatever.
Right.
Simmons, Thibault, Korkmaz
Right.
picks. That's if Bradley Beal wants to leave, that's a pretty solid deal. And Simmons would fit great with the Wizards, because all they have are shooters, and Daniel Gafford. Well, whatever.
Right. No, I'm with you.
Yeah. So if you replace that with Thibault, I will say fact. But if it's Maxey, then I say
okay. And I'm going to throw something else out there. So the Sixers have obviously, and my trade scenario with the Wizards that I've been thinking of what the Sixers are doing there is very similar to what you're saying. But obviously they said no. Right now they're saying no Maxey, no Thibault. So I'm betting that the offer that they've made, if they've made one, is Simmons, Korkmaz, Shake, and picks. That's my guess.
Yeah, that's not enough. That's not enough.
Well, that's why it hasn't been a deal yet.
A couple people asked me, do you think Shake Milton could be a good... No, dude, I'm sorry, but the Wizards are not... The Wizards are not going to accept Simmons and Furk and Shake. Like, that's the value. The return on investment is not there for the Wizards. So he says that's why it's not a deal yet.
So I'm saying, like, if the Sixers have offered something because they've said they're not willing to give up Tyrese, they're not willing to give up Matisse, I'm guessing, if there's an offer out there, that's kind of what the Sixers have done, and that's why it hasn't been done yet.
I see.
I see.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and answer this one, though, and it might surprise you a little bit.
No. I know what you're going to say, but it won't surprise me, because I know, well, actually, I don't know how you feel about this, but...
So I love Tyrese Maxey. I do.
Okay. Good.
Again, I watched that video 1,000 times. I love the way he interacts in Philadelphia. I love the way he interacts with the fans. I just love his personality. I love how he called Kate Scott Miss when he couldn't hear her on, I don't know if you saw that on the broadcast. He was like, Miss Kate. He's so cool, dude. I love him. However, I'm still saying cap, but I'm much closer to fact than you are, because Bradley Beal's amazing. I don't know. I don't want to go with Maxey, and I don't think it's as obvious as this guy says it is. He says they should obviously include Maxey.
I will find.
He says they should obviously include Maxey. Is it obvious for me? No, but would I be? I'd be upset to see Tyrese go, but I'd also feel better about the Sixers contending this year. And the reason I want to say that is because I don't know. There's something going on in me. I don't know if you can say the same, but there's something going on in me as I'm conflicted, and we're approaching closer to, the postseason. The Sixers are climbing in the standings, and it's like, part of me does not want to get to the postseason and know that we're not legit contenders, even though we could be with Bradley Beal. So part of me is like, dude, we're a game and a half out of first without Ben freaking Simmons, and we can go get an all-star in Bradley Beal potentially. We can do something and make this team legit rather than go into the postseason and not be at full force. And it's just part of me wants it. I don't know if you're having those feelings as the Sixers are climbing the standings and playing well, because they can be better.
Here's the thing. Before I answer, I just want to highlight how you mentioned about, you love Maxey. Of course, because if you're a Sixers fan and you have an issue with Tyrese Maxey, one, either you are not a Sixers fan, or two, you are just a hater.
Fact.
And you're an idiot. I like how you, and this is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, you're allowed to include Maxey in a trade package and still support him as a player. That's how it was for me with Simmons last year, the Simmons Harden thing. I still would have supported, not anymore. I still would have I still would have supported Simmons if he had been traded, but I also was like, okay, this is if this is the best thing that Sixers need to do, then they should do it. Like, that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, because like, no, I love Maxey, but yeah, you still can.
No, but I'd rather be a supporter of him on the Sixers.
You also need to realize that, right? But they also need to realize, like, hey, you're a Sixers fan, right? Okay, well then, do you want to do what's best for the Sixers? Okay, then and to the Beal thing. Wait, what was I gonna say?
So basically, I'm saying that I'm conflicted because part of me, very much so, before this trade deadline ends, I want to see the Sixers maximize the potential this season because I'm greedy and I want it now.
I remember what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say is that I'm fully not expecting the Sixers to contend. So if they do, that's great. But if they don't, I'm expecting it. So I have no reason to be disappointed about this season. I mean, you haven't.
I've messed up because I'm not at your level right now of saying I don't expect anything this year. I know you don't, and that's my problem. Is because I can't bring myself to that level, and I need to because I'm realistic in a sense that I don't see Bradley Beal on the Sixers this year. I don't see anyone big that's gonna alter the Sixers' trajectory this season, but I really, really want it to because.
Well, sure. Okay. So do I.
Just for just for the sake of the season and how well Joel's playing and how healthy he's been, and again, if we were 7 games back of the first seed, I wouldn't be saying this, but it's we're playing this well, and we could literally
51
be better.
Games in,
Wow, 51 games in, and we're without a max contract 3-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, point guard,
best defender in the league. Actually, that's Cap. No, he's not. He's still, bias aside, he still is not. And I said it last season, I'm pretty sure too. So forget I said.
Who's the best defender in the league?
Whatever. Just I would say Giannis, to be honest with you, or Draymond.
Yeah,
I think.
Ben's different from those guys. I think I don't know. He's just different, dude. Because he's a point guard, and because I don't know. I just feel like he's.
I mean, at this point, is it even right to call him a point guard? Because it's clear that he cannot be a point guard.
In my book,
he can't. He cannot be. He can no longer be a point guard. If he comes back, he cannot be point guard. And if he gets traded, he cannot be point guard. He can be point forward.
Whatever you want to call him.
He cannot be. He cannot. Maybe he can be Draymond Green in transition. But when it gets to the half court, he needs to. I don't know. He needs to be. He plays center. Play center. I don't care. He can play center. He actually could play center on a team that's, fit that he fits and it fits around him.
I don't know. He's just such a good defender. Just because of his ability to guard guards, and I know there's other guys can do that, and Giannis can obviously guard a 5 better than Ben Simmons can, but I don't know. I just love watching Ben Simmons play defense. Anyway, now I'm depressed. I want the Sixers to do something. I don't even know. Now I'm sad. Let me give you this though.
I know you're gonna.
Let me give you this real quick. So I saw a post by Process in Philly on Instagram. I don't know if you follow them, but they had a post 76ers trade deadline targets. Just some kind of smaller players that aren't
make one of those,
that aren't today. Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard kind of thing. I'm gonna name some of these names and you tell me, pick one or two. Terrence Ross, Eric Gordon, Goran Dragic.
Eric Gordon, I mentioned him earlier in the podcast.
Luke Kennard, Robert Covington, Tyus Jones, Alec Burks, Malik Beasley of the Timberwolves, Buddy Hield, and Bojan Bogdanovic, or whatever his name is, from the Jazz. I'm not sure if is he like on the
Yeah, he's
block a little bit.
no.
I feel like that's a stretch.
I don't think the Jazz are gonna even. I don't think the Jazz are gonna trade him. I don't think. It's funny because I also a couple days ago I mentioned the Knicks were looking to possibly move, and another report came out today. The Knicks are looking to move.
He could
Alec
be
Burks.
definitely on the move.
And I was like, hey, listen, the Sixers had him 2 seasons ago. Bring him back because he was great, and Morey he literally said himself, I have the reputation to bring folks in at the deadline. That's what he said. So if it's aside from the Simmons trade, which is not happening, in my opinion, because I've been saying it for 7 months and it hasn't happened yet, Alec Burks could, I mean not Alec Burks, but like Daryl could bring a player like that in, and he did last season. I mean, he was only the GM for 1 season, so I can't reference season before. But
yeah, I think
still,
I think Alec Burks is a good name, and he can score, man. And I think I mean Buddy Hield and Bogdanovich are kind of different from those other 6 that I named in terms of their value, in terms of what we'd have to give up. I think. And so they're kind of a little different category of their own. But if I had my eye on anybody, it would be Alec Burks and then Terrence Ross. Terrence Ross, I feel like he's been in the mix the last 3 years, and he's
one of those guys that is like always in trade talks.
And look, he's still in the Orlando Magic. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, he's still.
So maybe this is the year.
Yeah.
He's kind of a similar guy. 2 guard like Alec Burks that can fill it up off the bench would be a big asset for the Sixers. Anyway, we'll wrap it up here. But the Sixers got a good one tomorrow night with the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks are 29-23. Mavericks are coming off 2 losses in a row where Luka scored 34 and 40 last time out against the Thunder. The Sixers' last visit to Dallas last year, fun fact, Joel Embiid dropped 36 in that one, so hopefully another good performance from the big fella. Why don't you give me, you said Luka's good, so predict his stat line tomorrow night, and we'll end with that. Points, rebounds, assists. What does Luka have? No, never mind. Points, rebounds, assists, combined total number. Who gets more, Luka Doncic or Joel Embiid? Tomorrow night.
Total or
so if he gets 30 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, that's 50. So who is going to have more? Tomorrow night in Dallas.
I don't know how the Sixers are going to stop Luka. Like, I don't know who's stopping that guy. And not even on the Sixers, in the NBA. But in the context of this, obviously, because we're a Sixers podcast, I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, I want to say Embiid, but at the same time, I could see Luka going to 40, 10, and 8 as well. So, like, I'm going to just go ahead.
He's going to go Joel Embiid, folks.
Because on the other hand, who's stopping Embiid? What am I saying? On the other hand, who's stopping Embiid? Porzingis, I mean, he's a good defender, but like, he's not stopping Embiid. I don't know, dude. I don't even know.
That's a good one.
It's funny because they're also really close on my list of players. Like, they're only a few spots apart, so it's like the kind of similarities and the comparison. Like, I don't even know. I'm gonna just say
Joel Embiid. I like that on the Philly podcast. So Joel, just fun fact: Joel averages 29, 11, and 4, which is 44. Let's see what Luka averages. I think it's a tidbit more. It's
Probably
pretty close. I think it's a pretty good bet. We should make a bet on DraftKings. Where is Luka? Luka is at 26, 8, and 8, which is 42. Or if you round them up, 26, 9, and 9, which is 44. So, yeah, it's a pretty fair bet.
Was that
just saying.
Again?
They're tied.
48?
So, it's going to be a good one. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night or today, whatever day you're listening to this. Sixers and Dallas Mavericks battling at 10 o'clock ESPN Friday, February 4th. So, tune into that one.
Yes.
We'll see if Mike is right.
Yes,
We'll see if he's
yes.
right, folks. Place your bets now. He's got Joel Embiid. We'll see. And we will see you next time on Planet 76. You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.